Dragons, dark magic, and monsters, Epic Universe is bringing a whole new world of adventure to Orlando. With less than 1 month until the park officially opens, what do you really need to know before you visit? So stick with us as we explore the lands, rides, and of course, food. Welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle Live.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I
go! Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's show. Whether you're joining us live or on YouTube or catch up us later on the podcast, we're just so glad that you're here. So I'm really excited for tonight's show. We're going to be talking about something that's been in social media for months. We've talked about this on the show for a long time coming. Epic Universe is finally here. So joining me tonight, we have John and Claire. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Ben.
It's good to be back on screen. It was a bit weird.
It's Wednesday. That's it.
I know. I think we've all had a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Very much so a Wednesday.
Isn't it weird? Like you actually have a bank holiday Monday
and Friday.
Yeah, but then the week just goes completely out the window, and you don't even feel as if you had a 4-day weekend. It's all gone.
The thing is, only a couple of weeks you've got another bank holiday just to keep us on our toes.
That's it. Right.
It's quite nice. Did you have a good weekend? Or shall I not ask?
Claire, did you get a new dog at the weekend? That's the question.
Yet. 2 weeks time.
Right, there you go. I had a great weekend.
I
met Anna.
Yeah.
I met Anna in Callum, and it was absolutely. Do you know something? It was an absolutely amazing thing because I'd spotted where she was going on Friday, and I thought, oh, she's heading north. I'll send her a message. Where are you going? And then she showed me the little drop
5 minutes away from you, wasn't she?
Yeah, well, near enough. And when she showed me the pinpoint of where she was, I knew exactly where she was on the road. I thought, there we go. And so I said, well, come. We met up on the. I can't remember what day it was. Must have been Sunday because I went to see it. I was at a gig on Sunday night. But what a cracking time they had, and actually, it was as if we'd known, certainly with her, it was as if I'd known her forever. And it was such a lovely feeling because, again, it shows just how powerful this community is. And just like seeing someone either on screen and certainly her from being in the Dibcast previously.
Yeah.
It was like two friends meeting, and it was lovely. It really was. And
people forget that actually a lot of the time we haven't met each other. We've met each other, but it took a while. You know, we do this, and there are so many friends of the show that we haven't met in person, but will do. I have a plan for later this year to meet up with somebody who's in the chat, actually, which is very exciting.
No,
I haven't even told you guys about actually.
Oh, here we go. That's it.
But it involves me going to Orlando. Let's just leave it like that.
Another trip. You've got to make use of your annual pass.
Exactly. So I love the fact that there are people that we don't know that we do know and we will know in person, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Just think back to when this all started nearly 6 years ago.
I know.
It's
scary, isn't it?
I know.
It isn't
warning to anyone coming across us first, don't start at episode 1. That's my only recommendation.
Yeah, as always. Yeah.
Anyway.
But I'm looking forward to tonight's show. Epic Universe. I'm guessing us all on screen are planning to visit on our next trip or the trip after next.
Yes. We'll be there in the summer.
Yep. We've got a date booked.
Yeah, I'm still undecided about the summer, and I'm desperately want to go, but it's justifying the cost of it on top of Disney tickets, and on top of the fact that if we do that, then I'll feel inclined to want to buy Universal tickets as well.
Yeah,
which then detracts from the. It's a really difficult.
It's a difficult one. I have to admit, we were trying to work it out the other day. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party tickets aren't out yet, but actually, would I prefer to buy an extra day at Epic so I can have 2 days in the parks and skip out on Mickey's Not So Scary?
Oh,
it's a difficult one.
I think that's a type.
When you look at the cost of it, the cost of a Mickey's Not So Scary ticket is probably about the same price as a single day at Epic.
That's what we're being forced towards, Ben, and I think it's a massive conundrum if you're trying to do both.
Yeah.
I think I've read quite a few things over the weekend where people are saying we're just not going to do Disney. We're going to focus on the Universal side of it. We know it's going to be busier than it normally would be, but we're not prepared to sort of go down the multi-ticket kind of route, and I can kind of understand that.
Really expensive.
Yeah, for me, it's one of them. Do you max out on the fact that you've committed to a Disney ticket, haven't paid for one yet, only committed, or do you just go all in on Universal? And I'm really stuck until it probably opens. And I'm probably aware there's probably quite a few people not watching this show tonight because they're trying to shelter themselves from
avoid spoilers
and things like that. And I think that's a key part to this. Is a lot of people who are committed to going to Epic are actually, they're not wanting to see and not wanting to hear too much information that's gonna spoil that walking thing, because by the time it opens in a few weeks time now, it's just it's going to be one of those things. It's going to be totally in your face on YouTube. It's going to be totally in your face on every single social media
it pretty much has been for the past few weeks. Anytime I open TikTok, someone's showing this of walking into Super Nintendo Land, and it's just so many different things. And I think I made the decision when they had the media day where it was like, I'm either going to watch it, but I'm not going to watch ride POVs. And I think Universal did quite well to begin with, of going filming on attractions, because there's a bit in my mind that I like to plan. I like the idea of knowing where I'm going to the park that I've never been to before, so I can get the idea of write my list of must-do attractions. What do I want to do? We're only there for one day, so what can I fit in? Is there something that the lines are going to be so long in, say, Harry Potter, that I might just scrap that completely because I can do the rest of the park? So it's that difficult thing, and I'm looking forward to discussing this. And
I think we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that because I think there's quite a bit to be discussed in that, and we'll get onto that because we've actually got to properly do the show.
Yep. So I'm not sure, as I wasn't here last week, I'm not sure what news you discussed. So hopefully we don't.
We had loads of news last week. Loads. I can't remember.
You can't remember. It's been a week.
There was permits. There was all sorts of
stuff. That sounds about right. So it is time for the news. Okay, so first on the news tonight, Claire, you might want to listen to this one, being a pass holder. So 2025 VI pass holder days, limited 40% dining discounts, exclusive lounge. So I'm quite interested in this. I remember them doing something along this line a couple of years ago, but you can save 40% at the following table service restaurants, Monday to Thursday between the 14th of May and 30th of June, which doesn't happen quick enough for you. No. So they are Boatwright's Dining Hall, Cape May Cafe, Hollywood and Vine, Toledo, and Tusker House lunch and dinner only.
Okay, I'd have gone to Cape May Cafe probably, and maybe even Toledo, because I've wanted to go there, but it's always really expensive. So, oh well, I'm not there at that time, so it's not going to help me.
No, and the next one is July the 1st to July the 31st. So it seems like they're excluding August. It's like they've worked out when you're going on your trip.
They know.
They might extend it. Depends on, but Allen Compass Restaurant, Coral Reef, Diamond Horseshoe, Tiffin's, Whispering Canyon Cafe. I'm interested that they've split that up and just didn't do those restaurants for the entire amount. But if you've got an annual pass, a little bit of extra discount might be useful.
I'm looking forward to the annual pass holders exclusive things in Flower and Garden next week.
Oh, okay. Is there an exclusive magnet?
There's merch. There's and there's even an AP exclusive snack in Hollywood Studios. So
really, that's pushing the boat out a bit.
Looks horrible. I'm going there.
Okay, I like that. See, doesn't matter what it is. It's just got. I remember also.
There's a really cool mug for Flower and Garden that I will buy, because everyone buys a mug when they go to Orlando. I've got so many in my cupboards. I have to do them on like a rotation program because there's not enough space. You open the cupboard and you're sort of like,
you have a spare cupboard and just full of the extras, and it's like, we're at that point where it's like Disneyland not that long away. It's like I'm bringing back a mug. I don't know where it's going to go, but yeah. But back to Walt Disney World, and now they have announced room category name changes for moderate hotels next year.
I'm desperately. I'm trying not to bite on this, Ben, because actually, when I read this, when you look at something, it's like they're trying to get rid of the traditional, was it garden view and
pool view,
resort view.
In a
car
way,
park view.
In a way, it's just muddying the waters because they're leaving in some of the other room descriptors anyway.
Because some of them are going to have like royal guest room, depends on the hotel. But so they're going to go for standard room, preferred room, or a room with a king bed.
Okay.
I feel like this is just news. This isn't really news.
It's not news.
It's just going to confuse anyone booking a moderate resort. Just
absolutely
look at the room, look at the picture of the room, and choose.
And then look at the price.
Yeah.
So that works in like the sprawling moderate, so places like Caribbean Beach and stuff like that. But I'm thinking like Gran Destino Tower, where I'm staying next week. That is also a moderate resort, and that has resort.
And you're going on holiday next week, Claire. I hadn't noticed. You might over your shoulder. You should have a little
countdown.
Just tick it over as the show goes on, you know.
Yeah. It's all right. No, everybody knows. I'm not the person who shares it all on socials. Ben, looking at you.
That is true.
But the Gran Destino Tower, they have like a resort view, a water view, but the rest of the resort has preferred and standard rooms. So I don't quite understand how this is going to work. Maybe I don't need to. Maybe this is the reason why I should always stay at a deluxe.
But also, deluxe are as confusing as anything else. If anyone has deluxe or Disney Vacation Club villas and points, and then it's like every resort has about 6 different room types, and all different names and different room buildings, and it's a bit of a mess.
As Sean's just said in the chat, odd decision by Disney to make your selling point the bed size.
Yeah. No, that was another one.
The kind of trip you're going for, Sean, I suppose. If you've got a lot of people to share a room, then
Yeah, might be important in a grand villa.
Just as a little aside to that, Claire, as well, because actually amidst that same press release that Disney put out, they are trying to limit the number of people that they will allow at Fort Wilderness on each campground site. So
really.
Yeah,
is it gone down from 10 till 8? I think.
Yeah, and they're trying. Yeah, and they say they're going to just basically limit that. And I'm thinking, you've actually people have been caught there with about, bringing the whole family in from all over the United States. And probably about 20 people staying in the same RV and things like that. Yeah,
I don't know whether I could stay in a tent in Florida.
No, just stay in a tent, full stop.
It's not.
Yeah.
If you add the wildlife in Florida on top of
that's the bit that puts me off.
I'm talking about the other guests, not necessarily anything on the
ground.
With you on that.
Yeah. Can I also just mention as well, because this will be the news that Disney don't want to talk about, but we're prepared to put ourselves out there a little bit as well, because. Like even last week we did talk about custodial costumes and things like that. See, I was listening last week, but this afternoon there was like a little incident. Let's just call it an incident to do with the ferry in Magic Kingdom. It is back up and running. I have just checked, so obviously nothing to see here, no news to report on it. But Twitter was alive with the fact that. I'm taking the monorail from now on, and I'm thinking, let's not go there. That's just just do a bit of research before you go. I think you're probably
What I did like is a lot of news outlets referred it to as an impact.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how we go on that. I think the whole story will come out when somebody releases a bit more video. There's a few people who were videoing at the time, and I think it was a substantial jolt.
Okay.
Which no doubt someone will have a whiplash injury lawyer onto at the moment, but that's a cynical side of me speaking. Obviously,
what's the name of the guy who you see on the billboards all around Orlando? I'm trying to remember his name.
Oh, the one where you can get but the one that's always playing on TV that you can phone up.
You hear him all the time. I can't remember his name.
And the one that when you come home, you're sick of the sight and the
up by the one at Millennia is like
all you see is a board sign of that no win, no fee.
Yeah, and his face. So I can't remember his name.
Get in the chat. Let us know who he is, and we'll finish the news segment off.
I was going to say this is news that I probably want to skip over, to be honest. But it's Disney World ticket prices are increasing next year, as they usually do. So Magic Kingdom, the range between the day tickets $139 to $199, Epcot $129 to $194, Hollywood Studios $139 to $184, and Animal Kingdom, the cheapest park, $119 to $174.
That's not how much they're increasing. That's the range.
No, that's the range for a single day.
That's okay. Thank you. Just clarifying.
Yeah.
I mean, the prices go up every year. We know the prices go up every year. People will still pay it. People will moan, but they'll still pay. So that isn't actually. It's not going to rise by $70 per day.
No.
It's actually somewhere.
And it's one of those things because every day. I remember when we were looking for a single day for Epcot last year, it was like we chose the cheapest day of our trip to go for when we were booking a single day ticket. And it's like, and I have to admit, the gap that week was between like $30 difference. So it just takes a little bit of planning. And also it's a good guide to work out how busy the parks are going to be. Because Disney will increase the price, how they expect it's going to be. So
that's a worthwhile one.
Yeah.
I think it's worth mentioning as well that with the park ticket increases in price, there's also been some updates to menus and food outlets across Walt Disney World, and some things have gone up. Quite a lot of meals or dishes have gone up by 50 cents, maybe $1.
Yeah.
Things in quick service and grab and goes have gone up by 50 cents. They've been like $12.49, they're now $12.99 plus tax this week. And then some of the drinks actually in restaurants have gone up by $3 or $4 a drink. So just be aware that actually some of the
tariffs, all
that imported vodka.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Some of the financial challenges are now starting to appear within the parks and restaurant menus. Because I was like, it won't have impacted by the time we go. This week. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to also see whether merchandise increases as well.
Yeah, and menus have changed as well. There's about 40 menu changes. Lots of things have been taken off menus, been adapted, changed, reduced.
And I think that's one of those things that always happens. That's why I like now when you book your dining reservations, it's like 60 days because generally there's not a menu change between that amount of time, where before it used to be 6 months you'd plan what you'd want to eat and book your restaurants, and then it would always change by the time you got there.
I think Disney's menus have been down all day. You can't look at them online, but Disney Food Blog, shout out to them. They've got everything, and they've got a list of all the dishes that have changed and the price hikes. So it's worth checking. And I'm sure there's other people like John Self and who's done articles about it all. I'm sure there's links.
Yeah, I like that Disney have done this when everyone's at Epic University using pass holder days and preview and media days. It's sneaking up price increase.
I think as well the other thing to also bear in mind, if you're in the UK, if you've been on Dollar Watch this week, it's edged up day on day. So
34
again, it's one of them. We're now at that bit of when do we pay for the villa? Do we bail in now, or do we wait and see if it goes up a little bit more? That's
where we are.
It's exciting at the moment because it's back to that old time where you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get a little bit of something for nothing, and we're going to gamble. We're going to gamble exactly when we press the button. It's one of them great games that you can play when you're booking a whole day.
We're doing the same in terms of paying for the villa in dollars. Yeah. So, look, John's with us. He said those prices are old news. They've just finally reported it.
Oh, cool. I think it's probably a pertinent time as well. If you go and just welcome in the people in the chat, because actually we haven't done so, and actually we've got quite a few people watching this live, and I really like this on a Wednesday when we actually get people who are interacting more in the chat as we're taking it totally off sideways of what we said that we were going to talk about. But
we always get back to it.
You probably know us better by now anyway. It's probably half the reason some people do join us. But a big hi to Heather, who was the first in before we began again. It's lovely to have you. Lovely to have you part of the show, Heather. And again, happy lunchtime to you across in California. It's really good.
Mostly followed by Sean.
Yeah.
Sean mentioned later on in the chat something about having to remortgage for Chef Mickey's trip.
Chef Mickey's that price.
He knows the buttons to press as well. He did mention as well about he was just going to clown her his universal.
Sean, I am putting this out now publicly in front of everyone. I am not coming to Chef Mickey's with you.
Oh, we need to see that. We need to see that.
That is not happening.
No, that's a thought, isn't it? We also had Jane. Jane, thank you for joining us. And we had Mike and Holly. Yeah,
nice to have you.
And if I remember, I think Mike was posted on the Dib that he's been to the Epic Universe this past weekend. If that is the so,
no spoilers. No spoilers.
Lucky people. Yeah, I know John Self was in there. I did not know at which social media outlet he replied to one of our plugs for the post, and John himself was trying to say that he's been. And I'm thinking, we could get John onto the show again, and just like, but I think we're trying to be a little guarded just now, John. We're just trying to be a little bit polite and just try and give people that chance, rather than everyone departing the show instantly and deciding that, oh no, I have to go now, and then watch the rest. I
have to admit, I've been very carefully choosing the photos for tonight's show because I didn't want to show everything. Because if you want to see every Epic Universe, there's plenty of vlogs out there now of people that have been through, and it's one of those things you've got to try and work out. Our trip's not till August, so for me, I'm quite happy. Becca wasn't, and she's avoided pretty much most of the spoilers, most of the sort of anything to do with it. Where I would like to just navigate certain lands, so I've looked at a few pictures, but it's more of just sort of knowing how my memory is. By August, I'd have forgotten it and just be enjoying it.
Yeah, good stuff.
So it's an interesting way. How are you dealing with it, Claire?
I am very much trying to avoid as much as I can.
Yeah.
I'm happy to look at the maps and maybe some of those. I've seen some walkthrough short videos where people have sort of shown
sort of queue lines or just little bits.
No, not that level. Just being in the space.
Yeah.
And some of the facade and
a bit like the real concept art. So where Universal gave us the concept art, but the actual
what it actually looks like. I haven't looked at any ride activity. I haven't looked at any food. I've looked at none of it because I want to be amazed. I'm slightly concerned that I'm going to be disappointed because it's so busy and I'm not going to get anywhere. So if I get myself all psyched up about seeing everything and there's certain things I have to do to make sure, then I might not love it.
Yeah.
Whereas if I go and everything that I get to do is an opportunity, then I might feel a bit happier if we don't see the things. I really want to go to and do the Harry Potter ride.
Yeah. And it's on the virtual queue for the previews at the minute.
But I don't know how it's going to work out in the summer, but that's the thing. I think for me that I want to see, and I know that Millie is desperate to go to Nintendo World. I think it's really tough because Mike and Holly have just said in the chat, the walkthroughs and the queue POVs.
Yeah,
I've read that the queue for the Harry Potter ride is unbelievable, a bit like Forbidden Journey and everything, and I don't want to see that. I want to experience that firsthand when I'm there.
What I've understood is that most of the concept art, it actually looks like that. It's not like, it's going to be a version of it that's tamed down. It feels like they've been very clever with the concept art on what they've been able to produce and delivered. And I'm just so excited to go But it's a difficult balance, John, with you not booking a ticket yet.
Yeah, and I'm actually in that boat as well. And I was going to mention this at the start of the show, because we're not taking the kids. We only need 2 tickets. So I then went down. See, I only say that every week just to remind the kids that they're not coming. But I then started looking at an express pass, which doubles the price of your ticket. So you go from a 300 quid day out Epic to a £600 day out at Epic. And then when you delve into it, you don't get the express pass, doesn't go for every single ride either. So you would still be in the realms of maybe a 3 or a 4 hour queue, possibly, for some of the ones that are not express pass. And that's the bit that I'm finding that quite difficult. The one thing I'm quite fortunate about is the fact I'm basically tone deaf on social media. And I'm not being force fed loads and loads of different stuff from Universal. I get the same Disney people that come up on my Twitter feed. I get the same Disney groups that come up on my Facebook feed. And basically, I tend not to delve into it too deeply. So I don't really have it in my face. And when I do, it's actually, like the photograph that Universal released of the Harry Potter stuff. When you see it and you're like, that's the reason why I want to go this year.
Yeah.
And it is breathtakingly incredible in detail and just in what it can actually do. And that's a conundrum. I really am in a boat where I'm obviously not the ferry boat. I'm in a position where I'm being forced into that whole Universal media
frenzy.
Yeah, and they are doing such an incredible job of just drip feeding out little bits that you look at and you can't quite believe that you would see that within a theme park, and you would actually be able to just walk away and say, "No, you're all right. I'll just go to Disney this year, and I'll leave that for the future." And it's so difficult. It's so difficult.
That picture from Epic Universe of the Harry Potter area, that really reminds me of when those first photos came out, Rise of the Resistance, of that room with all the stormtroopers.
Yes.
And everyone was like, that can't be real. That's a screen. And it's just like, no. And you go in, and that first time you've experienced that, it really took your breath away the first time you went on Rise. And I think that's the bit that I want to experience. I'm trying, yes, there's pictures, but I'm trying to avoid any sort of blogs and not.
I'm happy to hear people's opinions and views and comments.
Tell me what you thought, what was good, but don't tell me why.
And because we watched, I think there was one video which I didn't watch much of it, but it was one of the media day ones where they were taken around by one of the team members.
Okay.
So and they were taken to the Harry Potter area, but they were explaining what the ride was like, and they said what you could compare it to attraction wise. So if you're a bit unsure of this attraction, and they said it was a mixture of Rise of the Resistance and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a moving attraction, and I have to admit, and that's the thing, there are going to be some of these attractions from the outside you're not going to see what the seats like. You're not going to see what it's like until you're on the attraction. So for me, when you get to that point, I remember on my first trip reading all of those safety signs before you get in the queue, and you go like, that's not for me. Having something like that is quite useful.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's some stuff about, if we talk about Harry Potter area specifically, that I think people missed potentially the fact that a lot of it relates back to Fantastic Beasts, which obviously is subsidiary films to the Potter 7 movies. And I know, with the preparation time for going in the summer, and obviously Millie is 12, and she hadn't watched the Fantastic Beasts film, so we're now 2 out of 3 done. We still need to watch the last one, but she's really, really enjoyed watching those, and we talked about how MACUSA and things like that are related to what she might see in Epic, and I think that there are things that you can do that might enhance your experience, even if you don't know exactly what you're going to see, because there's enough information around to tell you what is contained. Even on before it opened on the website, there was information around, if you look at Dark Universe, the types of things that you're going to need to have some awareness of. If you go without any clue what, you know, Frankenstein or, you know, might be, then I think it would be a bit tricky to understand some of the concepts.
We've just watched the first two of How to Train Your Dragon, because we didn't.
See, I've not watched them.
We didn't know what Isle of Berk was, but I have to admit, incredible films, really, really good.
Right, so you know, everyone knows I'm such a film buff, right? You know,
John's one Marvel film.
Yeah, so I actually think this is a thing, isn't it? Because actually, previously you would have got away going to Harry Potter if you just read the books, you would have a cracking idea of exactly what you were looking at, because the way it was written was so visual in its expression. Anyway, if there are things within Epic that we really need to actually watch, this is probably a good short list to begin now, isn't it? So you've got How to Train Your Dragon.
Yep.
You've got the
Fantastic
Beasts. Is there anything else?
Anything to the classic monsters? Or just as more of awareness of those. It's not like you must watch this film.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
Only at the Sci-Fi Diner, and that'll give you Disney could use that as their marketing. Come to the Sci-Fi Diner to get up on your B-list horror movies before you go to Epic. They can totally piggyback on that.
Yeah, you'll be good at that.
Yeah.
Go on.
It's difficult because I'm not going to say, like, if you're going to the Super Nintendo land that you must play Game Boy and that play on Nintendo Switch. It's not something that people are going to know of Mario. But it's one of those with like the films. It might be worth a watch if you've got time between now and your trip to do it. Also,
play Mario Kart.
That could be that'd be a real generational thing, though, Ben. Because actually, you could actually get people getting out the original stuff. From the handheld ones, you know, before Game Boy even come to fruition. But I'm showing my age now. You know, the little flip top.
The Donkey Kong. That was Donkey.
That was
the original Donkey Kong with
and then you get to the Game Boy. Then it gets advanced into
Super Nintendo.
And then, you know, it really, you could actually have different generations of families going to see that, all with a different incarnation of Mario. And where their experiences are, you know, that'd be a really cracking one to.
And talking of sort of Nintendo, that if you are staying on site at Universal, you do get early entry to Epic. That's the land you'll have access to during your hour early entry.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I think
so that would be interesting to see how you move around the park if you're not on after that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we are a family who likes to play Mario Kart. It is a common thing in our house, and you know, we all play together. And Morgan and his girlfriend are both beasts at it. Occasionally I win, but very occasionally. And so I think if you don't know anything about Mario or Nintendo, you know, some of those things, it might be a bit weird going in and seeing like the Koopas and the Yoshi ride, and if you don't know what that is, that might just not be on your horizon. So I think that it would be a bit strange not to have any awareness of, you know, if you're going to buy the special wristband that makes you go,
I think that's going to be on our list.
Right, Millie's already said, I need one, because I showed her and she was like, I can't remember what she saw. I think it might have been on TV, and she saw somebody and they had this wristband and literally like punching blocks and stuff. And I was like,
and the interaction on like the walls, and there's projections and there's so many mini games in that land.
But then if you've only got one day, what are you going to do? You're going to spend 6 hours in Nintendo Land doing all that stuff and then not get anywhere else?
And that's a bit that's really doing me head in, Claire. I love Mike and Holly's comment that was just there. Their 3-year-old came out the weekend obsessed with Mario and didn't know who he was before it. And that for me is just how magical this is. Yeah. If you get a 3-year-old who's never had any experience of Mario coming out with that feeling, you know, you're talking about people as old as me, whose first experience of Mario was at primary school. You're talking about a massive age range of people who are going to be there, who all just totally get it. And this is the bit I find most intriguing. This is the bit I find really clever, because I think this is where Universal actually have got a real head start on this. And actually, if we go again talking about the way we were about, I think John Selford mentioned it in the chat earlier about the fact that the concept art actually relates exactly to what you're looking at, rather than to what they kind of hope it might be if you've got a blindfold on or something like that.
If you zoom in really carefully, you might be able to see what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's for me is a really massive argument as to how powerful this is to see it actually built, and how much it relates to what they wanted it.
It shows how well they did in the planning. If that's what they wanted to create, that will be in the concept art. They know what they wanted to deliver, and they've been able to deliver it because their concept art was so strong. When you probably got something where you're not sure what it's going to be, you might put something in that you might take out later.
Blue sky thinking.
That's the one.
Beyond
Big Thunder Mountain.
Yeah, but not really beyond. It's just to the side.
It's to the side of it. It's beyond, but depends on which way you look.
Adjacent to Thunder Mountain.
Doesn't have the same ring to it, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Adjacent to the mountain.
Yeah, I actually think we're in this bit where I do feel that, and I know I keep going on about this week after week, but they're schooling Disney for probably the first time in a good number of years. They're schooling them as to exactly how this should be done, how it should look, how it should be presented for guests coming into the park. And everyone's waiting at the moment. And I think this is the bit that I would actually commend Universal on, is the fact that by doing all of this sort of slow reveal and only allowing a certain amount of people each day to go into the park and to see what's happening, everyone's expecting it to fall on its face and say, and have loads of breakdowns and have, this isn't quite finished, or this isn't quite done yet. And actually, nobody's coming out of it and saying that. No. Everyone's going, wow. And when you get to that stage, that's where that whole media machine, which is social media driven by individuals, does all the work for you. And previously, you're very clever people who were just dropping a few photos in, bit of concept art. Oh, we're going to do this. And again, go back to last week's news when Universal announced that they're going to open in the UK. Yeah, we have loads of people saying stuff like that in the UK. Oh, we're going to build this and it'll be done by this day. But Universal actually, you have a bit of trust that they're actually going to get there by that date, because that's how they operate. And I really think it's a little bit of schooling of the.
If this is what Epic Universe is like, imagine 6 years down the road when in the UK that they've taken a similar team that have built. I'm looking forward to what concept art we get for Universal UK. If it's anything like what you,
it'd be someone with a set of Crayola crayons. It'll be a UK drawing, and it'll be. It'll look like a 4-year-old's done it.
It will.
I'm looking forward to that. And there'll be no entrance to the park. We'll miss stuff off, and there'll be like several revisions of it.
The sky will be grey.
It'll be raining, but it'll be a water rides.
And then the other problem will be is that someone will put an objection in on the planning, and then the great crested newt will be found to actually be honed within the line. So you're gonna have to create.
There's red squirrels on the side.
It'll go booming if they put monsters in there, but there'll be bats.
Yeah.
There'll be.
I think what we're doing here, guys, is actually proving the point that when the British try to do something like this, just like we tried to take American dining and bring it to the UK, and we make a bad job of it. Yeah. Just if you're on the other side of the Atlantic, just please laugh over the next few years of how things just don't get done in this country, because it's and why we enjoy why we enjoy looking the other way and seeing, wow, that's how you get stuff done, because people actually say it as it is, and actually you don't have people saying, oh, not in my backyard.
I read a comment the other day on Epic Universe, someone's review, and they said like it's what they thought lived up to what they wanted Epcot to be. The feeling you get when you get the music going into, because when you go into the park, you go into a Celestial Park.
Oh, hang on though.
And my thought,
I'm not sure I like this.
My thought of it was more the music, the atmosphere of, they were saying, of Epcot of old. And part of me goes like, I'm really excited to get someone's opinion and what they thought of it. It's not something I would compare it to, but I'm very much intrigued to see what feeling I get when I go into this park.
Who said that, Ben? I need to go and have a word with them because they're not doing it. They're not doing Epcot right.
Well, they might not have been around World Showcase yet. They've not been listening to our
they're not listening to our recent podcast.
10-volume podcast.
Yeah, I think John's just said in the chat that the Epcot to Celestial Park comparison is common, so maybe we'll feel the same.
Yeah, and maybe it'll fit in with the rebranding.
Have they got a big fountain?
Oh, strange enough, Claire, they have, and they throughout the whole land because they actually
it has a show on it several times a day. It's music.
That what a unique idea that is.
Never seen it before.
Repurpose the Stargate and the tacos.
Maybe that's every portal, isn't it? It's the Stargate. Yeah.
Maybe they bought it on the cheap from the company down the road.
Maybe they did. Recycling. It's all makes it sustainable. That's what it is all about.
Yeah, it's all the rage. So I've heard.
See, something I haven't looked too much into, but seems to be quite interesting, is the food. There's quite a few food quick service options I've seen.
So this is the thing for me. My experience, and John, close your, not you, John Self, cover your ears for a minute.
I'll cover mine as well.
My experience of food at Universal is generally not great.
I'd go city walk. I wouldn't go to ones that are in the park. I just
don't rate it. I cannot. I don't think for me. There's something about the food at Universal in general. Even like people were going mad for Mythos for years. I just don't get it. I mean, it's freezing cold in there to start with, and the food was fine.
Yep.
And City Walk. Who doesn't love Margaritaville? But it's not. It's not going to give you the same experience as going to Citrico's.
Yeah.
And maybe there are some restaurants that are fantastic. Maybe I'm going the wrong places. I don't know. I cannot imagine that based on the food offerings in Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios, that the food in Epic is amazing.
Yeah, needs to
because
be.
The track record for me is it's not comparable.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be wrong.
Yep.
But I'll be surprised if I am.
Which land are you most looking forward to, John?
You're asking the wrong person, Ben. I don't even look at the lands. That's like I say, that's for me. I actually think it probably is going to be the Celestial Park part of it, purely from a visual and a visual representation of how you change everybody's viewpoint of a theme park brand.
Yeah,
I think that's the bit I'm down on. I'm beyond the theme of IPs and things like that because I know that'll be good anyway. I want to see how Universal, how serious they are about being a major competitor moving forward, and even more so than they have been for many years. But that's certainly one thing. I think they've upped it, and I think that's the bit I'm most intrigued. Does it meet the hype in the most ordinary places? Because actually all the extraordinary places, even the Dark Universe place, I think is another one that it intrigues me because it just smacks of the whole Villains Land sort of only being introduced as an afterthought, you know.
Talk to me about Dark Universe, Ben, because this is obviously an area that you're really excited by.
I have to admit, it was one I wasn't excited about, but then the more I've read, the more I've seen. I just think it seems so different.
I mean, that looks like Haunted Mansion to me. What am I going to find in Dark Universe? Because I have to say, I've not really paid much attention to
You've got two rides. So this one is Monsters Unchained, which is the Frankenstein experiment. So it's a dark ride. And from what I understand, the actual ride vehicle is the same as Forbidden Journey, or similar to Forbidden Journey.
Bench,
so that sort of thing. But but there's some incredible animatronics that I would think that are even better than Disney. So
better than Disco Yeti.
Well, yes, I think I've got a picture of the Wolfman, and the animatronics look incredible. I can't wait to go on this. Becca's decided it's not going to be a ride for her.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah, not sure.
But I'm interested. But there is another ride which is Curse of the Werewolf, which is a spinning coaster that takes guests through a forest. Which is, to me, when I've seen a video of it it looks like an outdoor version of Crush's coaster.
Yeah, that's what I think I've seen a clip of that, and it spins.
It spins. It's not like Guardians where you point in certain directions through like a story. It's more like just a smaller coaster. There is a monster makeover, which is an interactive experience where guests can transform into classic monsters.
What, like the monster makeup?
Yeah.
That used to exist.
So I wonder how much that is. Haven't seen the prices for that, but that'd be quite interesting.
Was that Hollywood Studios or was that Universal?
That was Universal.
The monster makeup.
That was in Universal Studios near Men in Black, wasn't it?
Yeah. Was it?
Or was that the makeup show? Yeah.
The makeup show. There was and they had like Foley artist, and they would record a bit, and they get people to do like the walking.
Yes.
That's going back. I can't remember where it was.
I think that was Universal Studios.
Someone in the chat will correct us if we're wrong. So
they
basically brought that back. Yeah.
But apparently there's also, you've got character meet and greets, so you can meet sort of Bride of Frankenstein. There's so many different, it's one of those ones that I've not seen any of the classic Monsters films that I can if I haven't.
And that's why we're doing this show. So you're
too young, Ben. You see, you're too young. You see, I was brought up on all that malarkey and black and white and all that.
Sci-fi diner.
There was nothing else for it.
Stuff, isn't it?
But before Epic Universe opened for previews, this land to me thought I'm not really that interested. But then I've looked at the concept art, then I've looked a little bit more into it and gone, actually, this looks something
really
that
I'm not sure it's something that I'm interested in.
Yeah. It's one, and that's the thing. If you've only got one day, where does your priority? And that's why I'm probably thinking we're going to book a second day, because Harry Potter Ministry of Magic is the biggest draw for us, and I think it's going to be for a lot of people. But
and I think that
after watching How to Train Your Dragon, I want to go to the Isle of Berk.
So I think the benefit is that there is track history with Universal and Harry Potter. We know that they do it well. We've seen Diagon Alley. We've seen, Hogsmeade at the beginning of that journey with them, and the amazing theming, and that, kind of obliterated and made Disney step up, because by the time you'd walk through Hogwarts Castle on the way to your Enchanted Bench on Forbidden Journey, you suddenly went, okay, so this is how you do a ride queue. And so I do think there is a bit of there's high expectations for the Harry Potter area, and I no secret for us that's the area that we're desperate to go to. Even just to be in that space, I'm excited. And I think we said a couple of weeks ago that the pictures that I've seen of the Ministry, they do look like the bit at Leavesden where you've got all the studio tour, and you can go and experience the sets that they used. And I'm excited to see that in a theme park setting. But I think that there is also that expectation of, we know you do that well, so we've already got something to hang that on, something to
so all the other lands have to sort of fit that level. If that's the level you're going to get. And I have to admit, Super Nintendo World, I was looking at the wait times over the past few days, and the longest wait time of the entire of all of them was Donkey Kong Minecart Madness. 110 minutes. I saw that.
Okay, that's not awful. I'd wait that.
And to be honest, a lot of them were like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah. So that Donkey Kong coaster. I did talk to Millie about that. I was saying, well, there's this coaster. You sit in a cart, and it looks like your cart is jumping on the tracks. And she was like, "What?" No, so no, it isn't. It isn't actually jumping on the tracks. There's like an arm.
There's an arm on the side.
There's some clever creative engineering that makes it look like it jumps, and that the track that you see isn't the track you're riding on, and all of that stuff. I think that looks really clever, and I love the fact that they've replicated, because they've got that in Japan, haven't they? That particular coaster, and I think that it's obviously been received really well, and it's funny, it's got a bit of humour behind it, and it jumps you around, and it's good for a lot. I think it'll be for me, it looks like the equivalent of sort of I guess Slinky in Hollywood studios, in terms of the attractiveness to lots of different ages. So you will get like the Donkey Kong fans of the 80s, where they had the original games, and then the kids now who play Donkey Kong as a character on Mario Kart 8 or whatever it is. And I think it'll be fun, and I like the idea of it, but I just worry that space, that land is not big from what I can see on the map compared to some of the other spaces, and how they're going to moderate the number of people in that space. Because by the time you've crammed in thousands and thousands and thousands, it is going to take away your ability to see the space and experience it in the way that I think probably that Universal want you to experience. So I don't know. I guess that entrance into Nintendo Land as well, which has been very well documented over social media.
But you got an escalator and through a portal
right in the middle of summer when it's heaving with people. How is that going to
work? It's air conditioned.
Well, I'm just thinking how it feels at the airport when it's busy going up an escalator. I'm not sure.
And that's going to be interesting, because it's not like a few years ago during the pandemic where you had to get a park reservation to get into the park and how that sort of operated and worked. I'd be very interested to see when this time of the month, once you've got the first few weeks out of the way, when once it's got to a little bit of sort of normality of like what it's going to be on a daily basis. Because the first few weeks, I'm expecting it to be capacity issues of like possibly attractions that at the minute are having, I don't know, like I think like Mike and Holly have said, that there was less than 6,000 people in when they were there on Sunday.
That's not a lot of people.
So compared to what it's going to be like in that first week,
right? And then that's going to test the ride capabilities as well. How many rides are going to go tech in? Sorry, Minecart's down for another 3 hours because it's not really ready. Or whatever
or the Harry Potter one,
whatever's happening.
A little bit like we had with Hagrid's when it first opened, like a 10-hour queue on its first day, and then they closed it because it kept going tech. And it's one of those things. Hopefully, with the amount of testing time.
But if they've only got capacity of 6,000 people in the park, that's not really testing it at the level that it needs to be tested at. You can run it all day, but unless it's loading and unloading, and you've got to wait through it. It's actually not engineering wise not gonna test the ability of that ride. And
I wonder why virtual queues will come into this to try and manage capacity on certain attractions. But if you put virtual queue on everything, that's still going to cause the same problem. You just have lots of people in the park
walking around with their phone in their hand
who've paid $130, $150, $190 for a ticket that isn't going to get the best experience. So I'm really interested, and it's really annoying because we've only got a few months to go till August. But I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it's a case of watch this space a little bit and see how things pan out. But when it opens in a few weeks' time fully, I think we're going to be flooded with information of people's good and bad experiences. I think you're right in terms of there are, like, you've watched the first How to Train Your Dragon movie. Did you watch the first two? Did you say
first two? Yeah.
We haven't watched them yet. Morgan's read all the books. I don't know if he's watched the films, but
really good films.
I think that
surprised me what they're like, and after watching it and just seeing that, it was like, yeah, I need to go there. And there's interaction between the characters in the land that I've seen.
Okay.
So when you can, and they've got the voice spot on with the actor that they use. It's incredible how much level of detail.
There's a meet and greet with Toothless, isn't there?
Yeah, and there's like a training.
Right, the name of the dragon.
Toothless. Yeah. But there's a couple of others, I think, in the third film that we haven't seen yet that I've seen clips of, and it just the animatronics are incredible.
The Toothless meet and greet reminded me a bit of Donkey in Universal. You know how you
when you make like Donkey and Shrek.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I guess there is something for everyone, hopefully. But
and in that land you've got was it Hiccup's wing gliders, so it's a suspended roller coaster simulates flying on a dragon. You've got fire drill, so it's an interactive boat ride where you can engage in water-based challenges. So you're shooting the boats opposite with water guns. So
not for me.
You're not a fan. I feel like it's a cross between like barges and Men in Black.
Yeah, I think it might be a bit like that as well.
What's the one with the one that was basically a dueling
coaster and Stardust Races?
Oh, Stardust Races, yeah.
From what I understand, people have compared that to Velocicoaster, and depending.
Oh, what in impact level?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah. One is slightly you've got yellow and green. I think it's a lap belt. I think it's just a lap bar.
Oh, can't be that bad. Can't be that bad. That's always the big.
No, Velocicoaster I've been on, and that's a lap belt, and that's just a lap harness, and I would not do it again because of that. I felt so scared, so unsafe.
Really?
I trust the gravity of it all.
No, when you're hanging upside down.
I remember we did when we talked about that, and actually we've been to the place down the road from where we live, at Flamingo Land, and they've got a very similar ride made by the same people, and it goes through that same thing as Velocicoaster.
Yeah,
and it is so amazing where you're actually in that bit where you're actually completely suspended, and you don't feel normally you would get the shoulder harness in, and you haven't got it, and you really do feel in that position where you're actually, oh dear, this isn't going to end well.
No. And John is saying comparison to Velocicoaster is not great. Maybe a merging of that and Mako from SeaWorld. But they're saying I've read that the two tracks go closer together than Dueling Dragons did.
Yeah, I love Dueling.
From what I've seen on some of the clips, it looks like there's a slight delay. So it's not like
they're not actually next. They're just one.
It's just probably how the track goes in the sort of inversions. There's probably that slight delay, but by the time
what was it called before Dueling Dragons?
Oh,
I'm trying to remember before it was Harry Potter.
I'll have a quick look.
I
remember.
I'm saying no, they're not close.
Dragon Challenge?
No. Maybe it was Dragon Challenge when it said Hogsmeade, and before that it was Dueling.
It was Dragon Challenge, then it was Dueling Dragons before.
Okay.
Right.
It is. I have to say that is the only coaster I've been on ever that's made me feel unwell afterwards.
Really? Okay. Well, I love that. I
think it was that hanging coaster. The first time I'd ever done a hanging coaster. Okay. And there's something around like your feet going over the top of your head moment for me that I could not deal with, and I have no issue with any sort of motion sickness or anything at all. I felt rotten after being on that.
It's really interesting how everyone's impacted differently on roller coasters.
Yeah,
because it wasn't until last year until I went on Velocicoaster, and it was like within a couple of hours I was like, I need to go back on that. I couldn't believe that actually.
You're the person who wouldn't do any coasters.
I know. I need to go back to one of those first few shows where it's like, no, I don't do roller coasters. The most I did was Big Thunder Mountain, and then it was like, oh, I'll do Indiana Jones at Disneyland Paris. Then Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror.
Yeah. I remember you not quite making Space Mountain at Disneyland Paris.
Need to go back to Disneyland Paris and
you can do that.
Take that one off the list.
Take that one off your list. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess hopefully there's something for everyone at Epic, and I haven't seen any of the merch actually. I don't know if anyone's.
I've seen a lot of merch that
apart from the Mario.
Pretty much. I think Becca wants to come back with the Yoshi in August, so that's one of the little green. Is it green dinosaur from Mario?
Yes, Yoshi is a little green dinosaur.
Yeah,
he's very cool. Is it a plush?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a Yoshi plush would be good.
Yeah, trying to think what else, but yeah, there seems to be. I haven't seen much Harry Potter merch. I know they've got the wands that you can use at the other park, and they've got the interactive. Probably going to be the same price as.
I wouldn't worry, Ben. There'll be plenty of it. If they need any, I'm pretty sure in York there's a whole road of places in York that are full of Harry Potter stuff for some bizarre reason.
So go to a boot fair before now and then, and
they'll just send it across. They don't miss a minute with Harry Potter. Is that even if you go to was it King's Cross Station in London?
Yes,
the shopping there is incredible.
There's always a queue to get in.
Yeah,
every time I've gone. Yeah,
but it's amazing the things that you never thought would be you would ever be able to think of making as merch.
Yeah,
they've got them. It's just like it's bizarre.
I've never bought one of those interactive ones. I just try and stand next to someone else who's bought one
and just pretend
when they're doing it, and then you can see what it does. That's really cheap of me, I know, but I'm not buying one.
No, I was weary because going with family. Like, do we buy a second-hand one? Will it work? Well, all of that sort of stuff, and it was like, and I don't know. It's an experience we've not done because I don't want to pay for the wand.
No.
Yeah.
No. Someone in the chat will tell us you have to pay for the wand. It's amazing. I don't know. Persuade us why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nuts. Is there anything else on your list, Ben? I haven't looked.
I'm trying to think. We've covered Dark Universe, Super Nintendo World. I think we've pretty much covered every land. There is a fireworks show.
Okay.
Which is in Celestial Park. And from what I saw before they were testing it a few months ago, the fireworks looked incredible. I don't think there are any drones in it. I know that there was an issue last year with incident a drone show in Orlando.
Yeah.
So since then, that's been taken away, and also at the Universal Park as well, Universal Studios, they've removed that as well. But looking at it, we haven't spoken a little bit about the hotel, which is interesting that it's at the back of the park.
Is that the Helios?
Yeah.
Because actually, some of the views and some of the reviews of it are absolutely incredible. And it just looks, it looks as if. I think the only way I can compare it is probably to the Disneyland Hotel in Paris, where you actually feel as if you're part and parcel of the actual park. And I don't know. It just looked, again, it intrigues me. But when things intrigue me, invariably, that's going to cost me.
I've heard very good things about the bar.
There we go. That's even better. Even better recommendation then, isn't it? Like,
can I just ask John and Mike and Holly, who've been to Epic, what would they say is their one unmissable thing? Don't tell us the detail of it, but which thing would you say somebody should not miss?
Oh, that's a cracking thing. And also, I think as well, it's just pertinent time as well. Just to say thank you. If you're in the chat and you're watching us live, this is what makes this show so special every Wednesday, is the fact that we can ask you questions, you can ask us questions, but then you start asking questions to each other, which is what this is about. It's not just about just watching and listening to something. It's meant to be an interactive experience, and actually I love the fact that we've got 3 people in the chat who've actually been to Epic Universe. Imagine that for me is just, that blows my mind instantly, is the fact that you're actually in there before anyone else.
I have to, Becca and I said, like, before with Disneyland, I wonder if Epic was going to open like previews around that time, and lo and behold, they have. We just booked on the wrong coast.
And actually, do you know what? We've had, obviously next week there are Epic Universe, open access for AP holders, and you can pre-book. we did a bit of looking at whether we could upgrade our Disney hotel to something slightly nicer than we're staying in. And actually, capacity at Disney next week is really tight. There is a lot of hotels that have no capacity left. So I suspect there is going to be a knock-on effect in terms of people are there. They've gone for a reason. They will go down the road for a day. It'll be interesting to see how busy Disney actually is. But yeah, the story we got told from actually my cousin rang up and said, look, what's the options for upgrade? And they went, actually, not. It's full.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think that's the thing in terms of Epic Universe. When you look at things like the express passes, they're gonna sell out as well, aren't they? They're limited in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
And how many people can book a hotel to get the early entry into the park? It's all this is going to add, but we're all going to find out in a month's time, or start to understand it a little bit more.
Yeah,
and people can sort of delve into the data, and then we can work out like whether it's going to be an extra day for. And I'd be interested in whether tickets for next year, because it's only till the end of this year that it's 1 day included in your ticket. So okay.
I think that'll be a game changer as well, because actually, if we get to that stage, and you're able to park hop amongst all three, that for me is where you're going to get good value from it.
Stupid question for me. What's the transport from the other hotels to Epic? Is there a bus? There's a bus from
each of the on-site Universal hotels.
Okay. How long does that take? Is it like 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
5-10 minutes from what I've seen. One thing I have noticed and people have commented on is how big the car park is. It looks huge. And I think for especially the previews, a lot of people have had to walk.
Okay.
From like, I think you can pay for preferred parking. Yeah. I think people are comparing it to like parking them in like Animal Kingdom parking lot, that it can be like that. But 12 minutes drive to Epic.
Okay.
So it's probably about 15 minutes on the bus then.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. Because you're staying on site, aren't you, Claire?
Yeah, staying at Royal Pacific. So just for a few days.
So what have we got? Ministry of Magic, even waiting 90 minutes, it's well worth it. Land is the best of any Harry Potter area.
Yeah.
We asked the kids, they would say Super Nintendo World.
Cool.
That's good.
Okay. There's something there for everyone.
Yeah. And John says there's a ride locker difference at Epic. Oh, this has changed, isn't
it?
You can scans your eyes or something.
Yeah, scans your face. So it's like Face ID on your phone, isn't it? So you don't have to carry your ticket around with you when you're going on an attraction.
Yeah.
That makes so much more sense. And I think from what I've seen of the lockers, they look bigger, which is good, because I have to admit, I was trying to shove everything in one of the small lockers at Hagrid's.
Yeah.
It is such a pain.
They look like they've done the thing that they've done at Tron, where you put it in one side and get it out the other side. Yeah. Rather than, I just remember when Forbidden Journey first opened, that area they've got the lockers, which is at the back of the shop.
Yeah.
And it is to be like, well, that queue is 60 minutes for the attraction, that queue's 90 minutes. And that's a locker.
Yeah.
It's horrific. But
Yeah.
Cool.
We did valet parking, expensive but worth it.
Yeah, parking at Universal is expensive, isn't it? Yeah. Even more expensive than at Disney.
I'm actually intrigued to see how long the queue times that people wait to see Toothless, because I know that's definitely on Becca's must-do list. So,
excellent. You let us know how it is.
Well, I don't know whether you'll be going to Epic before us or not, Claire.
Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, got to sort out. Double-sided lockers.
Yeah.
So it was very easy. Just Stardust, everything has to be left. A bit like Velocicoaster.
Yeah.
You just that makes
sense. Leave it all. Okay. So
I think we are coming to the end of the show.
Yeah.
So I want to say.
Yeah, just mentioning John Self as well, and again a massive thank you, John, because again continually supporting, but actually putting stuff into Waffler's Arms as well. I've just kind of clicked through, and if you go into Waffler's Arms, there is a brilliant, and this is why this is so good. But there's actually a brilliant article which I'm pretty sure John has written himself. But it actually adds even more into what we've been talking about tonight. So again, just gives you that little bit of extra enhancement as to what to expect as well. So massive thank you, John. We appreciate you. We appreciate your friendship, and we appreciate your support of our show as well. It's always welcomed, and we'll get you on here, and you can talk forever about Epic in the future. Or we'll get you on to talk about food, because I know that's another subject much closer to your heart as well. But yeah, a massive thank you.
What's on the list for next week, Ben?
We are talking about Disney park icons.
Excellent. Bring back the hat.
And Claire, you're not going to be here for that one.
I'm not.
So you can't defend us talking about the sorcerer's hat for 60 minutes.
That's fine. You crack on. You know my views. And it's probably just they're not repeatable, so it's
excellent. We get a free pass on that one, Ben. We're sorted.
Eiffel Tower all the way.
Yeah. So Disney park icons, sort of current and previous. So I'm looking forward to that.
That'd be cool.
So yeah, if you haven't already, make sure to check out our latest episodes. I know we've got we had one out last week, which was one with Emily, who's talking about getting married in Disney Springs.
Yep.
And whether it's planning tips, Disney chats, or more theme park fun, we've got you covered. So you can find us here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere that you want to listen. So if you've enjoyed tonight's show, leave us a like, hit that subscribe button, or drop us a review. It really helps people find the magic and join in the waffle. So we'll be back next week. But until then, from all of us here at the Great British Mickey Waffle, we'll see you soon.
We'll see you real soon.
Now my wheels in motion and my window